Hi, the Brisbane Broncos are your 2025 NRL champions after beating the Storm 26-22 to complete their third straight double-digit comeback of the finals, finishing the greatest three-game run ever and making them undefeated since the moment their season seemed over in Melbourne 2 months ago, breaking a 19-year premiership drought for the Broncos. And after the way that the last two grand final attempts have gone and this entire run had gone, there was no way this game was going to be any different. This had to be high drama, and the Broncos scoring immediately with their first touch of the ball on the back of what was honestly a pretty weak penalty. It was nothing but a red herring, because for the Broncos to return with the elixir and complete the hero's journey, it had to be high drama. In a 4-point game, Adam Reynolds missing since the 48th minute, Ben Hunt gone from a HIA, the Broncos so shot they don't actually have anyone defending at second row. The Storm, a team that will return to a winning strategy as many times as it takes until you can stop it, has run in all of its points on the right side, immediately finds Eli Katoa, who has not been concerned by the resistance that Shibasaki has been offering him all game and has been the Storm's best player. He makes it past Shiba again, the Shogun's sixth missed tackle, finds Pappenhausen on the inside, and now with 25 seconds to go, it's Pappenhausen with only Walsh between him and the premiership, and Walsh has been in this situation before, and we've seen in this season, in this game, that when it's on him as the last man back, especially on a 2-on-1, sometimes he just slips over, or sometimes he goes for the star jump, but he doesn't gamble here. He reads it perfectly, sets himself as Katoa starts to pass and throws everything he has at Pap and puts him down, and it wins them the premiership. In that moment though, I feel nothing but fear as it's happening. I'm seeing Ashton Sims drop the ball. I'm seeing Adam Blair sprinting out of the line and missing. I'm seeing everyone miss Cleary. I'm thinking it can't happen again, but is it about to? In the moment, I didn't realize it was still 20 seconds on the clock, because that would have completely dissolved the confidence that I had that even if Pappenhausen made it through, the comeback wasn't over yet. The Storm still had 2 shots left. The first Meaney throws a pretty lackluster pass to Hughes that gives him no time to figure out whether to go left and right, and it doesn't matter because the breadth of Carrigan's back excludes them both as he wraps him up. It's an absolute mangle of a ruck. Time off. Melbourne, the most clinical team, the masterminds, have 9 seconds for Harry Grant and Cameron Munster, the remaining half of their much-lauded spine that is so far superior to Brisbane's that it convinced every member of the New South Wales media that the Storm would win this game, and they have nothing. Munster sees Staggs, Smoothie and Ricky and no path ahead. So he plays the ball inside to McDonald with Haas, Carrigan and Pakes in front of him and no way through either. Stefano's run himself out of contention. The lights were brighter than expected. So they desperately go back to Katoa and he doesn't even make an attempt. Jerome Hughes still hasn't moved, but there's one bloke who has been running the entire time. A guy who will not lose, who told me during the week that he's got this. And when Katoa throws it all back to McDonald, it's to Jordan Ricky in the middle of the field and he takes it almost like a mark to nab the intercept and the drought is ended. The triple comeback is complete. The golden path is secured. The Broncos win the 2025 premiership after playing the 3 greatest games in NRL finals history and winning them all, and that's narrative, baby. And does it even come as a surprise? Dean Mariner makes a game-saving defensive play at the end of extra time to help them win in Canberra. Jordan Ricky saves multiple tries against Nathan Cleary. Payne Haas dives on a ball he shouldn't be anywhere near, and Tyson Smoothie makes a slips catch to hold out a team that had made every grand final this decade. How else does this game end but with a defensive read by their form player in a game that serves as his coronation for the best fullback in the competition if he even needed it? The single best 80-minute performance anyone has ever played in a grand final. It's Reece Walsh from wire to wire, and Melbourne are rightfully terrified of him because with only his second touch of the ball, Howarth is hitting a full sprint to try and stop him. A tackle Walsh breaks easily before setting up Mariner with the same right side play they've run so many times this season, and he gets the Broncos off to a hot start. He's lucky to stay on the field after Ashley Klein, of all people in the bunker, makes the least Ashley Klein call of all time and decides not to further punish him for a shoulder charge directly to Xavier Coates' head, which is a call made even more confusing by the fact that it's Klein. Then down 16-6, momentum firmly with the Storm, Walsh puts himself back in the game by scoring one of the best individual tries in a grand final. It's a combination of instinct, talent and confidence that when he sees no markers and 3 Storm players behind the ruck after Smoothie goes inside out to Hetherington to put him through the gap made by McDonald not getting back, and Walsh just starts running before Hetherington has even played the ball because there's a 10-meter gap in the middle of the field and he's the first to see it. He makes whatever call means give me the ball right now, breaks Lioro's ankle, Bloor has no chance, and he steps Pappenhausen and puts him all the way into the dirt at the same time, watches him go down before scoring. It's 5 of his 14 tackle breaks, and it's not even the most important thing that he did in this game, but it's him putting his stamp on the game and saying, I'm the best player out here, and if you want to win, you have to be better than me. And Melbourne definitely took up the challenge, scoring 4 tries in the first half, but in the second half, Walsh came out even better. At this point, he's missed a tackle on Meaney and on Hughes as they've run in tries, and if you want to be harsh on Warbrick too, but when Munster puts through a deft kick at the last moment, the only thing that stops the Storm from scoring and going up 28-12 is Walsh's desperation at the line, and that gives him the confidence to get to another level. Broncos then build a whole bunch of pressure. They get the ball from a scrum after Walsh's kick chase forces an error from Pappenhausen, and they score the only try without Walsh's direct involvement. He stands motionless on the right side and sees Shibasaki make it past medium Warbrick, basically as if they weren't there. Ezra playing the second receiver role that Reese normally plays in that action, and he stores that in his memory. Set after points, and Reynolds is gone, and I could have sworn that happened with like 15 minutes to go when it happened live, but it's actually 32 minutes for Walsh to bring it home, so to hold on to the momentum they've gained and complete the comeback. And it's not a case of better or worse with Reynolds, they are better with him. It's a case that it has to be Walsh now. In the sets between Reynolds going off and the Broncos scoring again, they do a really good job of maintaining ascendancy. Ezra makes some really nice runs, Willison is rampaging, Kobe Hetherington some really great runs. He couldn't be tackled in his last game for the club. Then they get the weird tripping penalty and recover the dropout after Sheba chases down Pappenhausen, and who else jumps on the ball but Ben Hunt? Melbourne hold out, they stop Ricky Willison twice, and eventually Walsh gets called for a forward pass, which probably was. And this is the moment when they've been bending the line and carrying the game, and just not taking advantage of their momentum, that Madge chooses to pull the trigger and put Payne Haas back in for an unexpectedly lengthy rest of 26 minutes on the bench. Broncos start the set with great field position after Ezra sent Warbrick flying with a shot. They develop through the middle of the park, and when Carrigan's tackled by Munster and Bloor, it gives the Broncos a 4-on-3 with Stefano and Wishart both out of position, and Wishart tries to defend Walsh and Staggs and doesn't commit to either, and with Coates off his wing, the Storm are cooked 5 different ways. Walsh just chooses to use Essence of Mariner. Gross. But look at his face after the try score. Job's not done. Also, he has to take the kick on his bad side, and just like last week, you don't want to even the game with a 2-point. Boring. How about instead you get the benefit of a bit of Carrigan office work, spring Katoni and fall down in support, then just throw a 20-metre dime to your other centre. That sounds like way more fun. And he does on 5th tackle, and this play on the left-hand side has been one of Walsh's favourites all season. Shibasaki finishes the season with 18 tries, 2 in this game, and so many have come from balls like this from Walsh. But it's also because Sheba is always there running the right line. When Mariner's tackled, Sheba's in the middle of the field, and you can just see at the bottom of the screen as Ezra's coming back that someone, surely Walsh, has called something. Because by the time of the play of the ball, they're set up and ready to go. And look at him in the background as Sheba goes over. The guy who's normally so high on emotion and plays with his heart on his sleeve, just absolutely locked in. He's just put on 2 tries in back-to-back sets. He's not even celebrating at all. Then he makes the kick to give them the lead at 26-22. And now it's time for the most stressful 20 minutes of football this season when Melbourne finally stemmed the bleeding. I really thought the Broncos had another try in them, especially the way that Haas was running, but at least they didn't make the same mistake as they did in 23 and try to protect the lead. They kept playing in the way that had got them the lead, but Melbourne's defense stepped up in that last stretch, and we get another twist in the game when Karapani gets Indo-docked with 12 remaining after making a crucial jamming tackle on Meany, forcing a bad pass after Ezra completes the play. Broncos don't have a replacement for Karapani. Willison comes on and they have Shibasaki defending on the wing, and the Storm aren't going to take pity on you having to make a change. They're going to put you to the sword, and Pappenhausen goes for it immediately and strips Piakura, but Walsh closes the gap and genuinely has him, and Pap knows it and has to throw the offload. Broncos are defending like demons. They get all the way up Melbourne's end, and then Carrigan gets pulled up for standing in the ruck, and of course it was Harry Grant that was going to exploit that. He gives Paddy every chance to get out of the ruck and just watches Carrigan dig his own grave. And it's too late in the game for the return of dumb Broncos. Dumb Broncos are the ones who played in the first half that gave away the penalties and field positions which allowed the Storm up the field. Dumb Broncos are the team that gives away 6 agains on 5th tackle and randomly throws in a completely unnecessary lifting tackle, and they'd appeared once already, and that was enough. The only Storm try that didn't come from field position that the Broncos gave away was the Hughes try, and that came after a contest between Coates and Mariner where I still can't tell whose hand is whose and whether one of them touched the ball first. Dumb Broncos kick the ball out of bounds on the full, not even Reynolds is immune, and take short dropouts and drop to their knees when they're meandering behind the play and not sprinting to the corner, Darius. And since I mentioned 2015, it's the set after the penalty when Ben Hunt gets knocked out, and I'll give anything to hear what he said to Walsh before he went off. It's basically all on him now to bring it home, to give Reynolds his second ring and Hunt his first. 8 minutes left, it's smoothie time again, and suddenly the Storm are being dumb Broncos because they just forgot how to count to 5. That's one of the dumb Broncos' signature moves. For most of the second half, I thought the Storm's 5th tackle options were pretty poor. I think Munster whiffed a few of them. They weren't really earning meters in the middle, so they were pushing to the edge without an advantage other than Willison and Piakura being basically cooked on that edge. Then there's a bit of bad luck, grand final day nonsense. The only kick that Munster really got out to Coates all game bounces back, and it's Tyson Smoothie, the ticker monster, Brisbane's 3rd halfback in this game, who's just tackled Munster during the kick, who jumps on it. Smoothie then probably showed the whole 3rd halfback thing when he bombed what would have been a certain try to Ricky. When he just got caught between running and passing, then chose both at the same time and threw a forward forward pass instead. But Smoothie's a narrative guy. He knows this game doesn't end that way. This game needs more drama. And it comes immediately when Mam gets another try saver on Warbrick. Walsh puts a huge hit on Stefano, who is falling when Ezra hits him, but this time Ashley Klein thinks that's bad. And the Broncos still don't have Karapani back from his mandatory 15 minutes, and they're barely holding up on that edge. Piakur is just hitting anything he sees, but the Storm choose to go left, with Pappenhausen becoming the extra man to challenge Katoni, and that's it. That's what a Bellamy team has to offer in the final moments of a grand final. A second tackle spread aiming up not against Smoothie, but against Mariner and Staggs. This is where you bring Craig, a meager offering, but the Broncos eat it up anyway. Look at the way Staggs stays on his feet to make the second tackle. He's just absolutely elite. But he wasn't even needed since Mariner had Coates wrapped. More drama when Liero loses his mind. Classic brain fade under pressure by Trent. Good to see that he's still got that in him. But please, Melbourne in particular, stop hitting Brendan Piakura in the head. He's delicate there. Liero spends the rest of the game in the bin, but still makes it back out there to cry. Thankfully, enough time has passed that Karapani can come back on, but it doesn't seem that anyone told Willison he was on an edge, because in the final defensive set, he keeps returning to the middle. If anyone's defending on that left edge, maybe it's Jensen, but it's been 79 minutes of insanity, the crowd is going nuts, and Munster's run has just given the Storm the space to get out to that right edge and put the ball in the hands of the best back rower in the world. And maybe Ezra could have made that tackle from behind on Pap, but maybe isn't needed or necessary, and it doesn't win grand finals, because Walsh gets his final moment to impact the game, and he just absolutely nails it. And it's not a flashy play, it's not an overload of talent that does it. It's him picking a pass and making a tackle, and it's enough to win the game. Amongst everything he did in that game, the runs, the try assists, tackle bust, run meters, kick meters, his veterans going down around him and leaving him to take over. That tackle, run your two best guys and our best guy, let's see what happens. That's what wins him the premiership and gives him the Clyde. It's the single best performance I've ever seen in a grand final. He recorded 4 tackles in this game, all of them try savers. There's been a determination in this run that the Broncos just aren't going to let themselves be beat. It's in the big moments like Haas running down Cleary and Walsh's try savers in this game, but there are more little things like Ben Hunt rushing out of the line against Penrith stuck in their half, Ricky tracking along the field in the Canberra game in extra time, Mariner and Karapani just getting those extra few meters on every kick return, because nearly all of them have been in a big game where small things could have changed the result for the better, where they didn't make those efforts and lost. And there's no reason for Jordan Ricky to creep up out of the line, but for a desire not to lose. That he's seen a play break down, and if it breaks down further, that's a chance for Melbourne, for Grant and Munster to run amok in chaos, what they're best at doing. And so when Katoa tries to find anything, it's a guy who, haunted by the ending of 2023, who finally puts an end to the drought. What a game. I love rugby league, and I love Reece Walsh. I can't believe the run that he put on in these last few months, taking the competition by the scruff of the neck and winning it all. He's finals MVP, by the way, both for my award, and also the NRL needs to start a finals MVP award and name it after him. And I don't want to make Lockyer comps because he's my GOAT and it feels disrespectful. Also, I don't know if Lockyer ever did that. So maybe it's game 4 Steph taking over late against a more favoured opponent with insane individual plays that no one else could possibly do. But I'm going to cheat and say, you know what? That was the Walsh game. It's its own thing. No one else has done that and no one else could. And now I'm actually interested in watching the Kangaroos test just for him. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. for more of that. So that's NRL champion Reece Walsh. And it's the apprentice that does it for his injured master and his concussed leader. And it doesn't matter that Ben Hunt wasn't on the field. They don't record that part. But Hunt did so much in that second half when Reynolds went down. And his kicks to the corners at the end of sets really helped to maintain the pressure. He came into this game the most capped player not to win a premiership, and after, to be honest, being let down by his veterans in 2015, now a veteran himself, he hands his fate over to his young guys and they do it for him. It's rugby league poetry. Some other guys, Pat Carrigan played all 80 minutes, led the tackle count for the Broncos with 47, got into his office work and made the attack run smoother, ran for 138 metres himself, and apart from the penalty at the end, didn't do anything wrong. All of the back 5 ran for more than 100 metres, Shiva and Mariner both scoring 2 tries and making it more than 200 metres. Haas in only 53 minutes still ran for 117 metres, then Hetherington and Willison were both huge, cracking a ton off the bench, while no Storm middle forward ran for more than 100 metres. Hetherington saved his best game as a Bronco until last, save for Smoothie, and they ride off into the sunset as champions. Man was incredible the moment that he came on and will live in Will Warbrick's nightmares for years to come. Hunt at 6 was still a little bit clunky, but Ezra gave them everything they needed. That pass to Shiva was right on the money, where last week he had a similar opportunity and put it just a touch in front of him. Corey Pakes played extended minutes again with all the injuries, and like in the Canberra game, was pretty faultless, and when Walsh called, he answered. Reynolds got outplayed by Hughes in the first half, but it felt like he was building to something in the second, but like Hunt, they don't put anything on the ring about leaving the field. I hate that Jack Howarth got injured because I'm a huge Howarth guy, but that edge was where Brisbane wanted to attack. They made Munster make 25 tackles and Hughes only 10, but Meany missed 8 tackles, so it's not as if going left wasn't productive. I reached out to Harry Grant to give him my commiserations, and he picked up the phone immediately. No rings. 2011 LeBron memes will never die. He's balding. enough has been said about Stefano, and none of that would have happened if he hadn't opened his mouth, but I don't have much of a leg to stand on in that regard, so I'll let others speak for me. The coaching staff for having the team ready to outlast Canberra, then Penrith and Melbourne in consecutive weeks, and to match for holding Haas for so long and putting him in just as they needed him. If I can be bold enough to talk about myself, I picked the hero's journey narrative after the first Melbourne game, and somehow it all came true. But of course it did. It's the hero's journey. It tends to end up pretty good for the hero. And if I'm talking about myself after my team has just won a premiership on the back of the greatest run of all time and the greatest 80 minutes ever played, it's time to stop. Thanks for watching this and every other video on TPC this year. It's been a massive year. The support has been crazy. I appreciate it all. Next year will be bigger somehow. Bye.